been a massive week. I thought I'd jump in early and just say hi to everybody as you guys come into the show, join on social media. We'll start the show in the normal way at the normal time, but I thought I'd come in a few minutes early. Look, been a massive week. The 1.4 million from Simon, obviously a big mover, if you like. And a lot for us to talk about this week as we went through that. So nice to have your company for the week, and good to see you guys back in today. This is a show that we're doing a pretty big review on at the moment. We're giving some thought to whether to keep this in the current format or whether to split it up into shorter bite-sized bits for people, so we can more directly hashtag them and topic them, so people can come in for 5 minutes and listen to a lecture as opposed to having to come into the whole thing. So we're considering doing a bit of that. We're considering doing a 1 minute per chart market update. There's lots of stuff, so it does get a fair bit of review at this stage. As I was saying, if you joined us early on the custom streaming service on YouTube or Facebook, or if you just come in to watch the stream, we'll be underway properly in about 2 minutes. We're due to go to Alexis early. I can see her in the room. I will give her some powers so that she can come to us pretty quickly. Promote to panelist. That'll do that. I presume she's going to turn up there. Look, guys, as we have a few minutes to fill in, first of all, congratulations to those that did Shukru's course yesterday, the Forex to crypto trading one. I'm sure that has been really, really valuable. And, there's no question in this industry that is all about just continuing to improve yourself. That was a Mentorship Pathway course. No cost, just important you get on these things and you continue to improve and to learn as you go along. Look, I'm going to share screen. Hey, Alexis, how you doing? Nice to see you on board. Look, we'll be coming to Alexis in a few minutes to talk fundamentals, but look, there's just 3 charts I'll be watching this week, and it's always the same for me. I'll be waiting for the strategy bias upgrade to come out tomorrow, which will talk about COT, seasonality, fundamentals, do a bit of currency strength stuff. But what I'll be looking for is Bitcoin. I'm pretty disappointed in Bitcoin. I've got it obviously at reasonably good rates. It's a smaller account, but I've missed the pullback there, and I've missed an opportunity there. And we talked about previously that if it blows through 50, which I thought it would do, that we might get a pullback and it might just take off. Everyone's expecting a bounce at 50, but I just think once the media picks up the price, it does bring new people to the Bitcoin game, and a bit of FOMO turns up. And it blew through 20 in the same way. We all expected a bit of a bounce at 20. It just went straight through 20 when it got there eventually. On that bar there, just gone, and did exactly the same at 50. And look, at 55, I expect a similar type thing to what we saw at 20, with a bit of a push up and a bit of a retracement to come at some point as well. We'll have a bit of a closer look at it. But for now, I remain a buy on Bitcoin. I remain a buy on oil. I know we've seen a nice pullback in here, but that's a lovely move up. It's seen a few pullbacks along the way, and they've continued afterwards. And we'll look to that again. I'll probably scale in at the top of this bar here if we get buying past this level on a Monday. And for cable, I'm looking for a reversal based mainly off the COT data from the strategy bias group. Suggestion there is that traders are starting to change their bias. And look, it's COT, so I'm not looking for a reversal in this second. I'm not even looking for a reversal at the 140 round figure exactly. I'm just looking to start and see this move weaken out a little bit, and to see some level of reversal coming in. We'll watch the COT data each week and see if it continues to support that. Keep a little bit of an eye on the seasonals and the fundamentals as well. Fundamentals on the pound, I think, is a little bit confusing because, I think, it's holding. The numbers aren't great, but if we got some bad COVID news over there, we've got some bad vaccine news, I think that would have one place would have a massive impact. So we will watch it, and we will watch it extremely carefully. So they're my 3 charts I'll be watching this week, and literally more or less that's it. We'll look through the charts during the week, but really these are the ones I'm looking for my opportunity on. I won't rush the pound, as you guys can see. Look, there's no hiding from this, right? She's a beautiful old uptrend, right? She's a 114.62 to 140. That's a decent sized move, that is. And but I am looking for an end to the trend, not just a little. I'm not looking for a stage to reversal here. I am looking for a proper sell on this, and a move down I thought in the short term would be targeting around this 134.80 mark as a bit of a guide for just a short term move. Longer term, there's plenty of levels down here that you can see we'd be having a bit of a hunt for. Look, anyway, the other charts I'll be having a look for. I know it's a big call to come on and talk pound short when you're a trend trader, but you've got to look at the stuff that provides these market biases and COT, seasonal, fundamental, relative strength. These things are huge, and COT's pretty clear on the reversal for pound. I'll watch for an update to that group we have, the strategy bias group. I'll watch for information. Normally comes out between now and sort of midday Monday New Zealand time. Looking forward to seeing that stuff come in. Alexis, how are you doing?
Hello. Hi, I'm doing great.
How are you going?
Yes, doing great.
Great.
Yeah.
How are things fundamentally for the week ahead?
Interesting. All right. So I am also looking at a couple of pound pairs. So I'm just gonna share the screen and just quickly take through what I'm looking at.
Cheers.
All right, screen one. Okay, because I think I've been looking at the pound since last week, and there was a very nice up move on pound, which was what that we were kind of looking at. I am looking for retracements of the pound, but I think in the medium term, I am on monthly charts here because fundamentals take a longer direction. Still a bit more bullish on the pound in comparison to the rest of the currencies. Not just the statistics, but I think numbers wise, they are on a slow, but they're on a slow recovery to the upside. And I think if we just look at a couple of pound pairs, they are on the monthly time frames, very nicely at certain key levels. So pound Aussie, we have them on a nice bouncing just off the trend line at the bottom here. Pound yen, it's still approaching the 150 mark, so I think there's still a bit of room up to go. This is on the monthly pair again. Pound cat, again, a little bit of room up towards the upside. Pound kiwi, still approaching the upside. So I am thinking of riding the trend towards the upside. Now, pound dollar is at a $1.40 level, which is probably due for a bit of retracement. But again, overall, for the medium term, and when I talk about medium term, I'm talking about for the next at least quarter, 3 to 5 months, 3 to 6 months, in that sense, unless there's like really bad news on the vaccine coming up. But the general sentiment on the pound is they are looking for good news because of the vaccine rollout. If there's nothing that tips that against the pound, I do see upside to the pound in terms of the next couple of months. What I am looking to trade next week is to wait, is to pick the pound pairs, because there are a couple of pound pairs on the daily time frame that are due for retracements. The pound had a very nice week last week. So this is I'm just going to scroll through the pound pairs on the daily time frame. Okay, a lot of overextension last week. You can see the pound yen here overextended, pound cat overextended, pound kiwi. I think already started its retracement a little bit, and of course pound dollar, nice overextension. So I'm looking for a retracement week next week before catching the pound again to the upside. Yeah, so that's my take on the pound, and I think overall the pound has been up to 140. This is the highest in almost the last 3 years. Currency has risen about 2.4% against the dollar since the end of 2020. So a lot of analysts are actually looking to see whether the pound will continue going up, and so far sentiment is getting better, and the next levels that I think the positive sentiment is looking at is $1.45 on the pound dollar. So that might happen, but that will take time to happen. It's not going to happen next week, so probably in the next couple of months. We're looking at the pound to slowly get stronger, pending no bad news that comes up for the pound pairs. Yep, that's all for me.
Cheers, Alexis. Thank you very much for that. We will keep an eye on it. So I was just in the background trying to find a background for Julian. Actually, I will hand over to Julian. Let's have a bit. What's going in the market this week, mate? What are you looking at?
Yeah, hi, Paul. Hi, everybody. Look, guys, I'm going to keep this short and sweet as well, too. So, yes to everything Alexis has just said. I've been talking about sterling strength now for about the last 6 months or so. The cycles are still well in play. We've got another, I think, 6 to 8 months to go on sterling. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see to see cable up at the 150 mark, 160 mark, something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. However, with the proviso that if there's a general US dollar turnaround, then sterling will merely outperform. It might not necessarily go up because the other currencies might well be falling. So it's my pick for the strongest currency of the quarter, and I'm going to continue to hold that view. Again, look, this is just, I'm not sure about cable because I think you have to be quite careful trading retracements in cable, but certainly in euro sterling, I'm looking for any retracements to continue to add to short positions. And, you know, with an eventual target, you guys have heard me talking about this. I'm really looking in the 60s. So there's a long, long way to go. It looks pretty dramatic at the moment, but if you look at a monthly chart, it doesn't look dramatic at all. So you can see from that's the daily. And we're sort of reaching into a support area around about the 86 and 85.5 area. But then when you expand that out to look at a slightly more longer term, it's not a reach to for us to get, thank you, thank you, for us to get down to that 70 area without really stretching ourselves too much when you're looking at those monthly patterns. So I just go back to my original point that I've been making for some time now, which is I think sterling is under owned by a lot of fund managers. And even if they got back to neutral, I think that would force the currency significantly lower on that particular pair, the euro sterling pair. That would put us down into the low 80s. So just remember that there's a bit of non-belief going around sterling at the moment, and it is certainly, if you're thinking about it from a sentiment cycle, about the only thing that I can think of whereby it's under-owned and people are discouraged about the sterling as a currency. So that's probably about the only thing in the world actually right now that seems to sit in that camp. Really, for me, I think it's all about the Aussie and the sterling strength this week.
Sorry, Julian, I don't know if it's me or you. I've lost you. I tried to grab a screen for you and I just seem to have lost you completely. Are you still with us?
I think he froze.
Okay, we have lost Julian, and look, we will hold on a second and see if he's coming back. Alexis, can you just pop into Skype and see if he's giving us any indication of where he is and what's going on? Maybe he is just down and loading that background as we talk. Was asking about it. Julian to Shukri. Alexis, looks like Julian's out, so I figure he'll be coming back in a few seconds. Talking about cable and Aussie, looking for some Aussie dollar strength, I think he was saying. Look, I'm going to give him a couple of minutes to come back in, and then I will.
Paul, he's just trying to come back in now. So.
Cheers, Ainslie. How you doing? Nice to have you in the show.
Great to be here. It's been a while.
I've got to say, Richard week for gold.
But I was actually on a an Aussie dollar strength.
Oh, nice.
Last week, at the end of last week. So I was happy with that.
Yeah, it's popped up lovely by the look of that.
Yeah, it's gone well.
And Julian's on the way back. Is that right, Ainslie?
Yeah, he was trying to reboot. We were just texting. He's on it now. Here he comes.
Here he comes on his way back. We will come back to him in a few seconds. Sorry about this, guys. This is just part of technology of having people all over the world doing different things at different stages. Julian is currently traveling around the South Island of New Zealand, so and did actually tell me this week he could have some internet problems. Did tell me where he was too. I think he's in Hamner Springs, but I could be wrong.
Yes, indeed. So, Paul, I'm back online again now. I'm having to do this via a phone, so I do apologise. You don't get video of me now. Yes, just thank you. We're actually up in Golden Bay at the moment, and it's our last week before we head back to Auckland. So hopefully next weekend we'll have proper internet. So look, guys, that's gold. My view about this is we're sitting on a key support level, And it's really a function now of what happens to interest rates. So those of you who might be aware, the US bond rates and in fact, some long-term interest rates around the world have been rising. Since January, the beginning of January, the 10-year note in the States has added 45 basis points. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you start at 90 basis points, that's a 50% increase in costs for somebody out there. So there's some quite big moves going on. And when you have a rise in interest rate, that normally negatively affects the gold market just because of the way that people allocate money towards these different asset classes. So that, I think, is probably what's holding gold back. That is not the case in either platinum or silver, which are far outperforming gold at the moment.
Look, I'll come to platinum and show a chart if you want me to in a second, Julian. I've got the gold chart up, and look, I brought it on this little support level here, and did just fine. But I got out of it because, you know, there was always this level down here we were lucky to have a look at, and we are where we were supposed to be, right? Yeah, exactly. And I think Ainslie will probably talk a bit more about that.
Look, so if gold does break this level, then I suppose 1700 is sort of like a lock, something like that, maybe a bit lower, who knows. But the only real reason why we're going to go substantially lower in gold is because interest rates are going to go substantially higher. And I'm not sure that's going to happen. I think my view is that rates will start to top out here, and prices will start to rally in the bond market a little bit, which will probably support gold. But as you can see, that, you know, look, the other precious metals, there's platinum, right? That's trading.
Yep.
That's trading brilliantly. And if you look at silver, that's trading quite well as well too. But platinum and silver are both very cheap compared to gold historically, which I think is the reason why people are sitting in those two asset markets at the moment versus gold as their preferred options. Yeah, look, the only other thing I like to say, Paul, is that when you're in this phase of the asset markets, and most notably the US stock market, where very clearly there, no matter how you define it, there is a bubble of some kind taking place, right? They're incredibly difficult to figure out when it's going to turn around. One of the things I was talking to
there's a few guys trying to do that.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things I was talking to my students about today on the trading group was really to try and relax a little bit around trying to predict this turning point in the sentiment cycle, but actually be aware that what you're really looking from here and what information you need from here is for some good news, which normally would be very supportive of the stock market, to initially support it, and then for the market to fail completely and to reverse on you. So that needs to be systemic. That's not saying that Tesla goes up and goes down. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the broader market having a large outside bar, something like that. You guys know all the technicals. You can understand what those situations might be. But it's really about something that should be good producing a very bad result, and that'll end up being the interim top for the time being, and it might prove to be the top. But let's go with an interim top. So that's my word of caution about the stock markets. I've always said that from March onwards, I'm super cautious and just got to be a little bit careful. Normally, they tend to rally into the end of the month, and these days, with the amount of options which are expiring, that well might drive an upward outcome for the end of the month. But overall, I'm looking for that bang moment, essentially, when the market does signal that it's just about had enough. So until that point in time, keep on trucking, stay long.
Mate, is the big round numbers a big feature on the S&P? Got 4,000 inside. Is it likely to hold it up for a while?
Great question, Paul. I think for me there was a key level at 39.10, and that was a major level. I don't know. 4,000 clearly is a big round number. Maybe we'll try for that. But that 39.10 level was one that was identified about 4 or 5 months ago by a couple of technical guys. So we seem to have got to that point, and so far we're trading a bit sluggish here. And yeah, let's just say I think it's 4,000 as always is a bit of a magnet. If we don't make it, then there's a telling story. And if we do make it, probably look at something like 4,013, 4,006. And then if you want to spec it, be short from there to try and trade the turnaround. But I'm, until proved otherwise, this market still trades okay. It's soft the tail end of last week, but I'm not seeing the news out there which is telling me that it's all over. And that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a really good call in all markets, isn't it, Julian? When you see good news and a little bit of a push but no follow through, it just tells you the market's had enough, and that is a good watch for in these markets, right?
Absolutely.
We'll leave that. So the state of emergency in Texas likely to be weighing on the markets at all?
I don't think anybody cares.
My aunt lives in Texas. She cares, let me tell you. Anything else, mate? Sorry?
With my old hat on trading electricity, I think it's a very sad state of affairs that the ERCOT market has got itself in such a pickle that it's got itself into. It seems to me that they can't do anything right in recent years in that market. So I suspect more regulation is on its way, because the minute you have a power outage, the entire world who's experiencing that power outage seems to really care a lot about it. Everybody else not so.
Yeah, they certainly seem to have that. Mate, we've got, so from you, we're looking for a little bit of action. We're looking to watch price action on the pound. You're a little bit bullish on the Aussie?
Yeah, the Aussie, look, the Australian across all the crosses just trades so strong, right? I can't possibly sell that. You've got to look for tracements to carry on buying it.
Yep. We are potentially, again, just watching gold to see whether it's at a base. And in the meantime, we're looking for a little bit of interest in silver and not palladium, platinum. And US stock market at the moment, it's a bit of a wait and see, but really we're getting a little bit more nervous around these tops.
Yeah, look, I think, for those of you that remember back in 2000, the AOL Time Warner merger, which was ridiculous, was the most ridiculous thing to happen in what was essentially was a pretty crazy market. And if anything, I think the market topped out very soon after that and just fell very quickly. So that's sort of the event that's going to drive a complete reassessment. And I can't tell you what it's going to be. If I did, then it wouldn't be driving a reassessment. So when it comes, you'll all know, just watch out for it.
And we've got the Gordon Scott May pullback 12 months since the bottom, where these guys that are on tax, they've got to get hold for 12 months to get rid of the stuff that we expect them selling around mid-May. Maybe I'll see a little bit before that, but I think we'll definitely see some selling around mid-May based on his prognosis as well. That it for you, Julian?
That's it for me, Paul.
Cheers, mate, and enjoy the last week of holiday in the South Island, mate. Have a great time there. We'll talk to you soon. But for those cheers, Julian. For those that are interested, Gordon's new show starts with us on Monday night around 9:30. Sing. He'll be in with an hour. He's got a guest this week who's a New York Stock Exchange retiree, and next week we'll be having a senior trader from Singapore on the show as well. So if you're looking for some information pre-US Open on Mondays, about 9:30 p.m. Singapore for Gordon. So not to be missed. I have a feeling that's going to be a ripper. Actually, big week for shows. We've got Bob's new show starting on Tuesday. The 10 Times Man, Bob the account board will be in doing that as well. We've got Lincoln's show starting Tuesday, Wednesday on 4-hourly bars as well. George is in doing some price action stuff. We've got Julian's new show starting in the week before this on Sunday as well as some possible changes to this Sunday. My guest on Thursday night, Shukri, the Millionaire Maker. It's a busy old time. Lots of interesting stuff happening. I'm, of course, just filling in a minute because we're a minute early and it's time now to go to Shukri. Shukri, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Things are getting crazy. Let's see what's happening, but let's see the seasonals first. I mean, don't look at the charts, guys. Look at the charts. You guys want to buy, and I'll show you what's happening to the market that's actually scary. We are just entering a period where people are just FOMOing in and getting cheated. Okay, I don't know what's happening now. So this is the monthly returns. This is the volatility. We are approaching March, which is why I'm teaching in March, right? -9% average. And look what happens in April. We're going to go to the best period, actually, around May to June. And then we go down in July and start tapering off in August. So I can teach here again, Paul. I'm okay between June and July.
Yep, we're back there. So this really is, by the way, your program next week sold out. We're going to run another one of those while we're in this February-March period where returns are poor. And boy, busy old time for you, mate.
It's crazy, Paul. Look at this. I mean, NFTs, now the collectibles are big. Look at that. Fake. People are going for fake stuff. And this is insane. You know how insane this is? The guy, the people, he's like, I just blew $750 or got the deal of a lifetime or got cheated. And people don't mind, you know, because the owner of this collectible say it's fake. And people say, maybe it's not fake. Maybe they're kidding me. Can you believe that?
No, mate. To be honest, Shukri, I'm gobsmacked every time I hear any of this kind of stuff. Mate, you've just done a day on the difference between trading crypto and trading forex. One of the things you are saying here, right, is that you're expecting March to be a bit of a hold-up month before we go again April, May, June, right? And this is the time to get the skills to make some progress, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah. So Bitcoin, let's go on Bitcoin. It's obviously looking for 60. I think people are afraid to short because Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy, he wanted to raise 600 million to buy Bitcoin. He told us, then he raised it, he changed it to 900 million. He announces on Friday, oh, he's got 1 billion. So he's going to go and buy again. So people are afraid of getting short, right? Okay, that's fine. But look what happened to Ethereum. Ethereum's looking at 2,200. Look what happened. They blew out everyone this morning. They blew out all the stops. Everything was destroyed, goes back up again. That's cruel. Okay.
But major, really, this stuff's really interesting, isn't it? Because we've got different people in this market, right? Those of us trading cryptos on retail brokers don't even see this price action. Yeah. You know, because those brokers are closed on the weekends, and boy, there can be some big moves. It's it's a different thing to get this right?
Yeah, it is. It's that's why it's very dangerous now. I'm selling. I've been telling a lot of people that, you know, I haven't bought any cryptos in 3 weeks. Okay, I'm just selling. So Polkadot is up there. And look, the madness. Like Geoff would know this. He's from a mining town. When people get cheated like this, okay, this is like, you know, people are looking for the gold. You just sell the shovels. And here, hey, Flo, my 1,000 is now worth 230,000. I think by tonight, some of my previous Malaysian students will be millionaires. So guys, we have US dollar millionaire, ringgit millionaires. When Singapore? Who is going to be the next?
Mate, so tell me that again, mate. Your $1,000 is now worth $230,000.
230,000 here. Yeah, this is Geoff, right? Geoff's from a mining town. Don't buy the gold. Buy the guy who supplies the shovels.
Yep, that is honestly that is well spoken about in some interesting educational places. But yeah, mate, interesting stuff, mate. Okay, so week ahead for us as far as this goes. This is a wait and learn period. This is a get back into your education, read your stuff, stay involved, and start planning out. One of the things you do, right? Your real strength is finding the ones that are going to be $1,000, that are going to go to 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, 200,000, and that's what you're doing right now. You're planning the stuff that's coming up in the future, and it's not just as simple as buying it. Right? You've got to buy this, so someone will give you some of these, and if you've got some of these, you get that, and if you get that, you can buy this for $200, and it'll become 10 grand. But you've got to find those pathways, and that's really your expertise, right?
Yes, and guys, let me tell you this: Polkadot. You know, don't listen to all the FOMO. You guys are too late. The newbies, you guys are too late. The guys that will become Sing millionaires, they're from the first batch. Okay, the newbies, we need to look at something else. This is like, yeah.
Can you bring up that return for? Can you bring up the return thing again? Can you bring that spreadsheet back up for us, Shukri? So this is Bitcoin we're talking about here, which, you know, and well, I'm just having a look through March, right? Whoa, 1 year, eh? Look at that, eh? Minus 15, minus 1, 171%. We did have one good year. Minus 20, minus 6, minus 4, minus 12, minus 37, 7, 25. So it's had 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. It's had 1 year in the last 7 where it's gone up, right? And we're on a good run. Maybe it's going to go up a little bit, but it's not going to make the same kind of margin as it makes in April. Have a look at April, guys. This is your time to be, and this is the difference between dealing with experts and dealing with the guy in the pub talking crap to you, right? The guy in the pub talking crap to you might have bought some Bitcoin and made some money, but he hasn't turned $1,000 into $10,000. He hasn't made a ringgit millionaires. He hasn't made US dollar millionaires, and he hasn't made Singapore dollar millionaires.
Yeah. Well, will you give a gift to the first Sing dollar millionaire?
Mate, I've got a question for you, right? Yeah. Why does the first Sing dollar millionaire need a gift from me? He's doing okay, right? He's a millionaire. What am I going to give him? A horse or something, for God's sake? You've got to be kidding me, right? I've
got a gold-plated shovel.
We've got a gold-plated shovel. When the the first thing, millionaire, we'll give you a $50 bonus, Shukri. Just a little. Yeah, give you one billionth of a Bitcoin. But anything else before we let you go?
Yeah, that's all. So see me again tomorrow, guys. Things change every day, but just listen again. I will reiterate again. I have not been buying new cryptos for the past 3 weeks. Okay, I'm selling slowly. That's all.
And look, it's one of the most important things, Shukri, right, is that there's going to be two types of people, right? There's going to be people who bank some money, and eventually there's going to be those people who wish they banked some money. Yeah. And in this entire process, even if it's still going up, it just makes sense eventually to say, well, actually, look, I put 50 grand of my own money in here. I'm putting it back in the bank, right? I'll keep that for another day, and I'm going to take the money that I've made and push that into other stuff. You've got to be prepared at some point to do that stuff. Mate, big week for you. Crypto Moon Monday, Wednesday at 8 o'clock. We've got you and my show on Thursday at 7:30. We've got your intro course on Saturday, the Millionaire Maker, teaching 2 parts of that course, right?
Yep.
Part 1, how to set up a wallet, and part 2, how to get other people to put money in there for you. You talk about, you bring up things, Shukri, and say, it's a Banksy scam, but really, you're going to teach people how to open a wallet and have complete strangers give them money, right?
Yeah. I have one ready today. Maybe I should put it in the private Telegram group.
Mate, put it in there. And let me just check. Last time you did this, someone made more than $1,500 US given to them that would have paid for them to do the advanced course, which created us a ringgit millionaire and a US dollar millionaire, and will soon create a Singapore dollar millionaire. Given to them the money to do the advanced, eh? Amazing.
Yeah.
Rightio. One thing I know is that, and I've got to talk to you about this tomorrow, so I know we're having a chat, but one thing I know is next Saturday, I have got no staff. I've got no staff. My entire staff are doing your program. It's amazing. Everyone's in touch with me. Shukri doing this for staff. What's happening with staff? How do I get into this? Mate, very much looking forward to the day. And I myself am going to pop in for part of that. I've got a couple of crypto wallets. I think I know the password to one of them as well, just to make sure.
Guys, take a picture of this. Guys, take a picture of this. Don't lose it on your handphone. I'm just following this, okay?
Just put it up on the, take a picture. This is the kind of thing, right, where this is the thing, and I don't want to do this too much, but this is the thing with crypto, right? There's a billion people who've made a little bit of money out of being lucky, and they don't have anything worthwhile to share. And then there's people who live it and love it and have got past skills in this kind of stuff, who bring you this kind of stuff. But I am going to let you go. Thank you very much, Shukri. Always enjoy a chat and looking forward to catching up tomorrow. Cheers, mate. Yeah. Ainslie, this gold thing, is it a bounce point?
Oh.
Love the background.
You like that one? It was better than the back of my study in my treadmill, wasn't it?
Well, I think the old Sydney Harbour Bridge is also very nice, Ainslie.
I like that one as well.
The little sunset goes with the golden sunset and the golden hair. It all goes together.
It all goes together. We've got a theme here, but gold is not being. It's not playing ball. Certainly not playing ball for this time of the year, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. And unfortunately, there are a lot of things. And Julian touched on it, and you touched on it. Platinum, rhodium, copper. All-time high, they're just flying at the moment. And why this precious metal with Singapore with silver and gold not coming along with for the ride? Don't know. And it's annoying. It is really annoying. I mean, we had the spike a couple of weeks ago on silver.
That's one of those things. I'm still gonna. I get it's annoying and I get it's frustrating, but I'm still gonna put the hard word on you.
As Julian said, look, each way back, it could be bouncing from here or it could go down to 1,700.
So this is our level, right? We are looking for this level to give us direction, right?
We're looking for this.
A close below here and it looks a bit worse, and we get a bounce back up above this horizontal again, and all of a sudden it starts to become a little more interesting again, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're down on that daily, and look at that. It's just mishmash, and it's been mishmashy since about the 4th. Since we had that really big sell-off. After the good move from the end of November through to the 3rd of January. And then we had this sell-off that's just come down. And then it's just been like, it's been a washing machine, up and down and up and down and around and around. And it got no direction. I was nervous about it midweek, and I was on the show with Geoff and with the Trading Bunnies with Geoff and Ash. And I said, look, I'm looking at shorting looking at shorting gold at this stage, which is very unlike me at this stage of the week. Stage of January, February, I don't normally sell gold at all. But yeah, what are we looking at? It's just is it a case of money being redirected into retail traders putting money into because they got their little check into the stock market or a Tesla share or some Bitcoin or whatever? I don't know. I haven't got the answers for you on this one. All I know is that we don't have, on the COT reports, we don't have a lot of the commercials being excited with gold either. So is this a case of has it done its day? Have we got a replacement? It's just, who knows?
Yeah, look, it's and it's one of those things. It's funny actually, because I remember up here, Julian talking about the standard retracement in gold would see it down here, and I remember even me thinking, "Oh, come on, buddy, it's not going back down there." At this stage, I was like, "Whoa, it's out of town here. It's off it goes." But I've got a couple of questions for you, Ainslie. When does the seasonal buy come to an end?
The seasonal buy at the moment on gold is normally March. It is normally the end of February. However, the year after a presidential election, it is not unusual to see it spike from beginning of March through to the middle of March.
Okay, so we're going to have to watch next month as well, because if gold is still in this area towards the middle of March, I would suggest when the seasonal run up comes off that it looks really soft. If the seasonal runs preparing some buying in these areas, that buying's going to disappear. So it'd be really interesting. Be nice to see it at least pop back up and have a little look at monthly pivot. You got anything for me on oil as well, Ainslie?
Oh, hasn't oil been interesting? Now, look, I might have been a bit upset about gold, but oil has been nice.
I turned up on that same show you were on last week when Ash was doing the Super Bowl and told Geoff I was going to buy it around here. I was a bit surprised that I would buy something that has gone up 4 or 5 days in a row, but not only did I buy it there and get out of it, I bought it again since, and I'll be buying it again some more. Again, I'll be trying to scale on the top of this bar here.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why it's a good idea. There's a couple of reasons that it's a really good idea. Is okay, as Julian said, Texas, who cares? However, that Arctic blast that's gone right across the US and freezing turtles out of the water. But what it's done to 4 of the major refineries in Texas is it's brought it to its knees, right? Equipment has failed. They've suspended production. They're down 4 million barrels per day just on that alone. So that in itself has, and it's not just a case of the refineries are shut down. Therefore, when it warms up a bit and it's no longer minus 42 or whatever it is, that they flick the switch and turn it on. A lot of the equipment's been damaged. A lot of it's going to take them weeks and weeks and weeks to repair. So it's going to really impact their production. That's where we've seen this continual push up and the demand for oil. It's going on with the COVID recovery in the background, but hello. I think we're going to see not too much to the upside, but I think we were talking a couple of weeks ago, we'd see it's up around 64 mark and I think we've got there. Surely. Yeah. So we're talking about 64 being a really nice level of resistance. Now, the other thing that happened just on Friday was an announcement by the Saudis. Opportune time. Their timing's immaculate, as you can always imagine. What they said was, such a shame that's what's happening in the US with refineries barking. They're looking at releasing their restriction of their quota and bumping it up a bit by about 1 million barrels a day, they say. However, we've seen them dump the market before. So they're saying that they're going to increase their production quota. They don't think it will actually impact the market too much. But obviously, even though that was a very, very oversold position, technically, that announcement late on Friday certainly didn't help things along with the Saudis talking about increasing their quota, because what will happen is if they think it's okay for them to increase the quota, guess what everybody else is going to think?
Yeah, look, I think it's fair. One of the things, Ainslie, on this, one of the reasons I brought it, I didn't just buy it because it was going up. I don't really do that. But I brought it because of one of the nuances of seasonality that Ray talks about.
Yeah.
Ray talks about when you get a move up before the seasonal move up, often it extends the move. So when you're going to move up before the seasonal move is supposed to come, the seasonal move long on oil is due to start about now. And we've seen this pre-move up on it. And one of the things that Ray talks about is when you see that it's very bullish price action for a continuation of the move. So looking to continue to take that move if I can at all.
Yeah, the only thing I can say about that is it didn't happen to gold, did it? Gold started early last year at the end in December, late November, early December. It's normally about the middle of December, and it didn't extend it at all. So I think a lot of, and especially with oil, we know that the fundamentals are really sensitive and really play into oil as a commodity to trade. So we know we've got to be careful with that as well. But yeah, I think it will continue. It's just the demand is still there, especially with a lot of the major players out.
Look, I think that's really fair. I think, look, normally we'd go to Lloyd right now, but Lloyd isn't in the room. He's at a family function tonight. I'm going to go to Geoff with me soon and do his 4 charts, but I'm just going to ask, Julian, are you still in the room?
Yep, I'm still here.
So I've got a question for you. You're our master at the macro stuff, mate. I don't mean to blindside you a little bit, but so the big call in the world is here comes inflation. And everybody's positioning for that. Now, we've just seen interest rates go up, bond rates go up from about a half in the last month, 6 weeks, right?
Yep.
Is that the start of the inflation play? Interest rates would normally be used as a way to curb inflation.
Yeah, so interest rates, interesting. It's a great question, Paul. Look, interest rates reflect sometimes people's confidence about the future. And really what they're saying is, I don't think you can rely on interest rates to give you a estimate of where inflation is going, but you can probably get an idea that rising interest rate environment, especially in the bond market, so that's the longer end of the curve out past 5 years, out to 30 years, when those interest rates are rising, that's a sign that people in the bond market are worried about inflation. We haven't seen inflation arrive yet. And that's all the interesting thing. Now, we're understanding that, commodity prices are up, collectively about 50% since March. But don't forget, all they've really done is get back to, collectively again to where they were before the big sell-off last year. Some particular markets have outperformed, but collectively, they're not really a huge amount different to where they were this time last year. So, is there inflation coming from that area? Well, we've got a lot more work to do yet on the commodity side. People are talking about the beginning of a commodity super cycle, and it's going to take some time. This is the disbelief, not disbelief, but this is the discouragement point, Paul, of the sentiment cycle. Nobody in the commodity or the inflation space believes any of it, right? And is it short term? Is it long term? Well, who knows? In order to get inflation to accelerate away, there's a monetary formula that has to take place. So velocity of money has to stabilize and start to rise if you're going to have a given level of money supply. And if you've got an increasing level of money supply, then velocity has to at least remain stable to try and get some inflation in there. A bit complicated, guys, but really what it's saying is that you're trying to have inflation is caused when there's too much money chasing too few goods. Are we in that space yet? I still see 9% unemployment. So what I do see is a market that's people are looking to move out of some assets and into another set of assets because they believe that there'll be a better protection in the long run against inflation. But realistically, none of that has been proved yet. Yeah, switch all you want, but who knows if inflation is here to stay, and who knows if it's going to be persistent. It might last a year, but is it going to be 10 years? So there's quite a lot of questions that people have got, and you can talk all you want about government debt and interest rates and trying to solve all the problems and all the other stuff. They'll just keep printing money. Yeah, I get all of that. And that if the government continues to print around the world ridiculous amounts of money, then pretty obviously there's going to be some kind of inflation, right? But when when people talk about inflation, it's really hard to get perspectives on this. You know, we're not talking about 30% a year, right? What we're talking about, all the Fed is saying is they want it. They don't mind if it goes slightly above 2%, right? So, you know, if you think about, again, consider this, right? 5% inflation for 10 years is 50%. You reduce the nominal value, or the real value, excuse me, of that debt that you've got outstanding by 50% with 5% inflation a year. That's not a lot, really, is it?
Look, I'm going to come back and ask one more question because I don't understand this, Julian, right? You may be able to help me out with this, right? Is that it's pretty simple right now. The government want lots of money to spend, so they have their central bank print it, and they offer out bonds, and the central bank buys it. So if the price of bonds is going up, does that mean that the central banks aren't printing enough money?
Yeah, it's a really good point. That's
no pre-week to doing this stuff, but boy, it does interest me.
Yeah, look, and I think, you know, you sort of you're onto something there, Paul, right? So as long as the central banks keep buying all this debt that the government prints, then it doesn't matter, right? There won't be any inflation.
Yeah.
Right? It just gets absorbed. Their balance sheet just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is the big problem, right? The question is what the government does with all that money. Is it going to build bridges, or is it going to give it to people as stimulus checks? And if it gives it to people as stimulus checks, then that's too much money chasing few too goods in the real economy, right? That could be seen to be inflationary. If the government builds bridges with it and employs people, I'm not sure that that's inflationary. That's just actually increasing capacity. That's the opposite thing. So this is where it all gets complicated. And I think people are latching onto a secular shift that is the only way to solve all our problems is to inflate it all away. Well, actually, it isn't. You can always default. But you know,
they're going to try
the Japanese
to inflate it away before they default, right?
Yeah, and look, the Japanese have been trying this for only for 40 years. So you know, maybe they'd be the people to ask about this as to whether it works or not.
Final question.
So I don't know.
Sorry,
I remain a little skeptical, Paul. How about that? That's where I sit on the inflationary front. But I'm very cognizant of the fact that in the next couple of years, commodities look good, and where there are shortages, right? So you know, you'll have inflation where there are shortages. But don't forget, if you buy a cup of Starbucks coffee, then the actual coffee itself, I think, is 30 or 40 cents. So if the price of coffee doubles, you're not really going to have much inflation in the price of coffee.
Well, let Starbucks get their choice. But I've got another question for you on this. I'm going to come back to it in a second, but I do find this really interesting, right? You and I live in a country where, according to economists, the housing market should be down 10, 15%, and it's up 25. So they got it wrong by 40%. That's a bloody big miss, right? And you can't blame them. But one of the things we should be aware of is economists have got it all wrong in the last 12 months, regularly got it wrong. And that some of this crystal ball gazing going forward does always make economic sense. These guys are clever guys, but we're in a world where they're not drawing on actual experience. This hasn't happened before. And we need to believe they can get it wrong. I did have one more question for you around this stuff. Wasn't around inflation. It was around, might have gone. I might be letting you off there. Oh, yeah. Actually, I'm going to give you a, so I believe that governments are in a race to devalue their currency as much as they can because there's economic value to that, right? So I believe that America's winning. Other people believe that the American dollar is dead in the water. Any thoughts?
If you believe there's a race to the bottom here, right? Then competitive. I can guarantee you this, right? That Europe is bankrupt if the euro rallies above 135. Okay, apart from the Germans, Europe is bankrupt, right? So that's not going to happen. Lagarde won't let it happen, and if it does happen, then they'll do everything they can, kicking and screaming, to ensure that they hold it back as long as they possibly can. Yeah. Which means they'll print more money. So this is the problem, right? If the American dollar depreciates, all you're doing is exporting all your problems to somebody else. Brilliant. That really solves it. That's awesome. In a pandemic, that's a great way of behaving. And I think that's That's pretty much the reason why the Americans consistently don't try and actually say that out loud. But, you know, their actions are sort of forcing that at the moment through the fact that very publicly they're spending a lot of money, and maybe other countries haven't quite got on the bandwagon yet. Last time I looked, the Europeans and also the Japanese and the British had spent more of their GDP and borrowed more of their GDP since March than the Americans had. So go figure that one out, right? This is the big problem, right? I don't really, I think people get a theme in their heads, and that theme right now is that the dollar is not the best place to be, the US dollar. They want to be anywhere else, hence Bitcoin, hence all the other stuff, you know, is going up. At some point, that sentiment will turn around, possibly because those other assets get so ridiculously expensive that it just becomes crazy.
Interesting, mate. Thanks for coming back in and doing the bit. I find this stuff really fascinating. I do think as traders, we just need to be aware. If there's an inflation play, then you just want to be in stocks and commodities, and you just got to be in that stuff non-stop, right? But if this is a false dawn, and you're going to see some guys load up in those areas, and they are going to get hurt. No, I do think caution for this one for mine. We'll watch it unfold. We're lucky to have people like yourself that can provide some light for us on the whole thing, Julian. Thank you very much.
Yeah, look, Paul, just a last thing on this. You and I were talking about this a year ago.
Yep.
Good timing. Good timing a year ago. Right? Yep. To Shukri's point, today, buying commodities today and holding on to them, not so good timing.
Yeah.
Make sure you have a stop loss in everywhere, in everything at the moment.
And for God's sake, drag it up. Well, I shouldn't give unsolicited advice, but, you know, consider locking some money somewhere on the play here, because, you know, this is a market where anything can happen. Imagine if all these guys, these Tesla guys, etc., decided to put their money into stocks instead of Bitcoin. God knows where it will go. I'm not suggesting they will. I don't want to go down that alley at all, because that's not very likely. What I think I do need to go is that's you for now, Julian.
Yeah, look, and just reiterating the point, you know, we're traders, right? If you want to invest, then invest, right? And understand that there's going to be rocky roads, and you may lose some, you may make some money, but you're going to be in it for the long haul. And if you own gold for the next 10 years, trust me, it'll be higher, right? That I have no doubt about. What I can't tell you is where gold's going to be in a month's time. Yes. Right. So then that makes us traders, right? And when we're traders, we use all the tools we've got to try and make the best decisions we can on our trades to ensure that we're positioned. At some point, you can become an investor and a trader at the same time. But when things are this high around the asset markets, I think being an investor right now is a really tough play. Being a trader, it should be the time of your life, because there's going to be amazing moves in both directions coming.
Yeah, I said that recently a couple of times, Julian. I think the next 3 or 4 years will be the best 4 years of trading of my lifetime. I just think we're going to see Forex trends like we haven't seen for a long time as countries recover from this and come out in a set way. Again, I don't want to hold everybody up because I've got a few questions. So I do want to move along. Thank you very much, Julian. It's much appreciated. Let's go to Geoff and talk charts. Geoff, what do you got for us today?
Long trends. That's bad news. That's not good news.
That's great news, buddy.
What are you talking about?
That's great news for most people, Geoff.
I know.
Right, it's great news for most traders, right?
Look, I'll just have to adapt. As simple as that, if that's going to be the case. And
if even in long trends, there'll be a couple of ranges here and there, and you'll snip a few pips out of here and there. It won't be the end of the world for you.
You can teach old dog new tricks, can't you? I've heard that somewhere.
I don't
look.
think back to you.
Okay. No, you can teach an old dog new tricks, but it doesn't come easily, I've got to say. And the shovels are always the way to go. I agree with that. Look, there's some interesting things, and I want to go to the US dollar, because I think the US dollar is kind of where I live these days, because I like to weigh it up against everything else. And what I see here is pretty much what we expected to see, but it's taken a lot of time to get there. What I see right now is we're at a resistance point, and we're probably going to range in here for a little bit. I think, you know, between the 92 and maybe the 90, maybe even down to 89 again. I'm not sure. We didn't quite make it to 89 on the dollar index, but you know, we've been here before, and I don't think we're going to get out of this little pocket anytime soon. So for that reason, at the moment, I've got to be bearish the US dollar, which makes it very interesting for what I'm about to say, because I see an opportunity on dollar Swissy to go long. And the reason is because we've got a potential reversal pattern here on the daily chart. And we've had a big breakout to the upside, which went through the previous support levels. Then we had a big retest of the breakout level, this breakout level here. You can call it a neckline if you want, given that there's probably an inverted head and shoulders sitting there. Then you got this big bullish bar, which of course was the higher low based on this inverted head and shoulders, we'll call it that, right? So we've now come back and tested the weekly pivot, having smashed through it earlier in the week. We've now come back to retest that area. The question mark I have, of course, is I don't trade bull bars long. And I know that's a habit I've got to get out of, because it can be very, very lucrative, of course. But I can trade this bar here long. So I think it makes sense to me to actually put an entry above that bar there and put your stop loss below that bar there. Now, before I actually do that, I want to see exactly what happens in the morning if there's a big gap somewhere, and that's why I don't place these on a Friday morning, obviously. I want to see if there's a big gap in the market before I actually commit myself to that trade. But I totally see that. I think that's an excellent entry point right there, and I think that's an excellent stop loss point right there. So, or you may want to be a little bit safer. If you want to be a bit more conservative, you could put your stop loss underneath the monthly pivot. We're going into the final week of February trading, I guess we are. Yes, we are. So there won't be another week of February. You might want to bear that in mind as well. But I think this is a buy. I don't think it's a buy at market. I think it's a buy above that candle there. And as I said, stop loss here, if you want to be a bit more conservative, I think your stop loss could go there as well. But that kind of goes against the chart that I'm seeing on the dollar index, as I said before, because I can see downside in the dollar here at the top of the range coming off that resistance area. So I'm not committed to it, but I think it's maybe a little bit of each way betting. Is that what I'm trying to say here? I don't know that I'd want to trade through that level without taking profit. That's for sure. So deal with that as you may. I will place that order if there's no big gap in the morning. Entry here, stop loss below the monthly, stop loss below the weekly pivot and that bull bar there. Second chart I want to have a look at, it's all about the Swissy this week for me apparently, is Euro Swissy. And Euro Swissy, you can't go too wide on this because you get this candle, which of course everybody remembers on the 1st of January 2015, where we had the decoupling. Makes this chart very, very difficult to read on a wider basis. But you can see quite clearly, and that was the trend line that we were using on that monthly chart. You can see quite clearly that once again, we've come to the top of this little range. Well, it's hardly a little range. It's been there for quite some time. This is a monthly chart, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8 of the previous 9 months, we've hammered this level, which is what, 108.63 I've got it at, that's not my line, that's price action right there. That's where the market is. So we're at a pivotal point, should I call it that? Certainly, I think that's known as an inflection point. Some people talk about that as being an inflection point. And I think we're there. I absolutely see that on the monthly chart. What it tells me is not to trade it right now, but to be on alert. And of course, you can see this massive move up here in May of 2020. And you can see the resistance that it bought, I guess, approval from this previous resistance level or support level here. And since then, we've been unable to get through it. And here we are again. So to my mind, one of two things is going to happen here, obviously. We've got an ascending triangle. That's very clear. We've got a range. That's very clear. And we've got the inability for price to get through that level for quite some time. So my logic says to me, why now would that be the case? Why now are we going to break out of here? Is there any fundamental reason that's going to happen? And I don't see that on the horizon right now, to be fair. So when I put all of that together, I say, well, okay, we're at resistance. Let's see what happens here. And if we do break out, then maybe we can pick up the long. But if we don't, then perhaps this is going to do exactly as it's done for the previous, getting up to 9 months, nearly 10 months. I'll go with that theory. So let's have a look at that. I think we can't just, you can do whatever you like, but I can't just go, okay, here we are at that resistance level, let's go short. I've got to see a reason. I've got to have a reason to do that. And I don't have that reason right now. So I want to see something of a reversal pattern. Maybe that comes on a 4-hour chart. That's certainly not there at the moment. It's extremely bullish price action. There's no question. So I don't see any way to trade that right now. But what I do see is that level that we are approaching. And I'd be, from tomorrow, I'll be looking at price action on the 4-hour chart, daily chart. And if I can see any reason to go short here, then I certainly will. Like to see it hit that trend line. That would be good, but it's not compulsory. I just want to see something of a reversal here. So that could be bearish engulfing bar, could be a break of a resistance trade line, something like that. That's what I'll be looking for early in the week. So if we can get up to here, maybe even test the highs, get back underneath them, and then give us a retest or a lower high based on that level, then happy days. That'll be where I'll be shooting. Euro Swissy short. And I'm pretty confident that that will be a good way to go. Obviously, there's a second option, as I said before. If it breaks and doesn't come back inside that level, that little trend line break, if you like, then clearly we can look to pick that up long. But that's not my preferred option. My preferred option is to take notice of what we've had as resistance in the past. I think that could well be resistance in the future, and we'll look to play that. It probably won't be a massive move if it does come, because we're bounded by this area here. But if we can trade this from here to here, you know, you've still got a couple of hundred pips available to you. So that's going to be my focus for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for sure. I said it's all about the Swissy this week, and it appears that is going to be the case on this chart. This chart is Swissy yen. Now, you've got to have a look at the bigger picture here, and again, we go back to 2015, which makes it very, very difficult to read. But I'm pretty sure you can see through here that the only time we've been above this level, and I'm sure I've spoken about this many times before, the only time we've been above this level was through that period, through that decoupling of the Swissy to the euro. And since we've been underneath that, we've come back underneath that, we've never been able to close above that level, which is around 118, right? 118. And why now would we think that's going to change? Is there any fundamental reason why that would change? I haven't got the answer to that. So here we are again, and we tried. We tried once again last week to get through that level and failed dismally, as you can see. The trick here, of course, is not to just, well, for me, it's not. I know there'll be many people who would disagree with me, and that's fine, who would just place an entry underneath that bar and the stop loss above, and that may well work, but that's not the way I do it. So what I'll be looking for is price to come down, maybe hit a support level, then come back and retest that breakout area. Then I can look to trade it short. That will give me potentially a lower high in that vicinity. I know I'm looking at the weekly chart, so we're not going to do that very, very quickly. But of course, it may happen as early as Tuesday, even as where the setup is, because we could potentially tomorrow. I'm not sure where the weekly pivot's going to be tomorrow, but I'm guessing actually it won't move too much because we've gone straight up and straight down. It'll probably very, very close to where it is, or where it is currently on this chart. I think a bullish bar here that maybe comes back and tests this level again, the 118 level, is a sell. The only problem you're going to have with that is there's going to be some support pivot wise directly underneath your entry. So that's the daily chart. Maybe we can look for that on a 4-hour basis. If we come back into this area, give ourselves another lower high. We've got a lower low, we've got a lower high. We're potentially going to put in another lower low here. I think that's probably inevitable. I'd like to see it come down to here, then give us another lower high, and then I think we can trade that short. That's Swissy yen. The final chart is probably the most controversial chart. And the reason I say that is because we've already spoken about, we've got a strong pound, we've got a strong Aussie dollar. And yet here I see myself looking at the pound versus the Aussie. Ash and I had this conversation during the week because Ash was dead set keen short pound Aussie. And I said to him, wouldn't there be a better currency to trade against the pound than the Aussie, or the Aussie versus the pound, either way, because both of them are the strongest on the board? And we had that conversation and came up with, yes, yes, there would be. Yet here I see myself looking at this chart because I'm now in agreement with him that I think this is potential short. And I take on board what Julian was talking about before, that the pound is extremely cheap, and it is. But I just can't get the Aussie out of my head at the moment as the strongest currency. And I do see that, and I don't really want to talk fundamentals because I'm certainly not in that ballpark as an expert in fundamentals. But what I do see is logic, and common sense tells me that, okay, there's not a whole lot going on in Australia that even compares fundamentally or economically to what's going on in Britain. So I feel that because Australia is so strong in commodities, and we're all talking about commodities being the flavour of the month, year, maybe decade, and the UK just doesn't have that, right? So I can't see how the pound can outperform the Aussie, except on that cheap basis. That's the only thing. But what I see in the chart is telling me that I have to play this as a short. So the big rejection bar that we saw last week on this particular cross, and on the daily chart, that big bearish engulfing bar, is probably a precursor for me to what's going to happen next. Can I trade that? No, certainly not. How am I going to find my way in here? Well, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. But what I will always do is look for something like that, a resistance level to break, and then turn into false break. It may not be that. It could be the horizontal level. It could be a break and retest of the monthly pivot. All of those things are on my mind. But I'm a little bit on the bearish side, pound Aussie now, and I'll be looking for that as an opportunity throughout the week. I think the first opportunity will probably come on a pullback of some kind. As you can see here, there's no possible way I could go short. We've got an untested monthly pivot below us, so there's no way in the world I would just go, okay, short here. I have to see a decent retracement. And based on this double top on the 4-hourly chart, if I were to see that in this area here, then I would enter short, and I'd look to take profit just before the monthly pivot. So there's the 4 charts I got, mates. Little bit interesting, I think. Bottom of the range here, which leads me towards going long pound Aussie, but it's only going to go long pound Aussie to get short. I think that's my bias. But certainly the opportunity, I think, is there Monday to get back up to here. So shorter time frames, pound Aussie long, but it's only to get a price to get short.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. You often say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but I keep hearing you talk about fundamentals. So I know you.
Yeah. Bloody things.
Mate, thanks to you and thanks to everybody for the show. We are still doing some review on format of the show moving forward, and there'll be some news from that when we're clear what we're going to do with it. But if you have any thoughts, drop me an email and let me know. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on what best to do with it going forward. Do want to thank the team for once again turning up and giving generously. Much appreciated. Great to see you guys all at the start of the week, and I look forward to catching up with you most of you during the week. To the attendees, thank you very much. Hope you get some great clarity out of it and able to use it to make some good decisions and make some money. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you back same time next week with some format or other. We'll let you know. Cheers, everybody. See you all. Thank you.